What's going on, guys? This is Chandler Smith, and this video is gonna be a little bit interesting. Now, earlier on this week, self-proclaimed communist tenant Noah Samson put together a 30-minute video explaining why essentially me and all other landlords are the scum of the earth. Now, this video is full of insults, attacks, swear words, and a myriad of other things on top of a ton of just blatant dishonesty. And so in this video, I'm gonna go through his video and first off, just kind of defend myself because a lot of the stuff he said was just extremely dishonest, extremely rude, maybe even cruel.
Jack off, Chan.
If you really dive into it. But also I feel like this is just a lack of education because he truly believes that he's helping people when in reality, the video he's put together is hurting people. It's putting them in a worse situation. And I really hope that this video, one, responds to all the garbage that he put out there, but two, helps people that might be buying into his content to kind of step back and reflect and say, hey, maybe this guy and the content that he's producing is just digging me into a deeper and deeper hole. So with all of that being said, let's jump into it. All right, guys, if you're new to the channel, my name's Chandler and I've been investing in real estate for the last 8 years. I currently own over 150 units of rental real estate, and investing in real estate has been a huge blessing in my life. That's the reason the main focus of my YouTube channel is helping other people to invest in real estate. Whether that's helping them buy their first home or buying their first rental property or buying multiple rental properties so they can build up a passive income so that they can have the freedom and flexibility to be able to do the things they love. And I'll tell you right now, a lot of times landlords get crap for being lazy, but the reality is building passive income through real estate is only possible by not being lazy, by working hard. And even once you have it, like me, you enjoy working because working helps you progress, helps you learn, it helps you grow, and helps you feel good. So on top of being financially stable, making you feel good, being able to go out and accomplish and build an empire makes you feel good. It's something that as you work hard, literally anyone can do it.
Our boss baby boy, Chan Man.
Throughout the course of building this YouTube channel, my main goal has been to help other people do the same thing I've done because it's been a huge benefit in my life. Now, while going through this process, I've had tons of mean, cruel, just rude comments that come in, whether that's on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and the majority of the time I don't respond to these. Sometimes I might respond to one or two, but I usually try to stay out of it because it's not really beneficial. On top of that, I've had other people put together videos that are very hateful or, anti-landlord, anti-whatever I'm talking about. And I haven't really felt it necessary to respond to them because again, it's not beneficial. And a lot of times they don't grab any traction because their argument doesn't make sense and it shouldn't grab traction. However, the reason that I decided to respond to Noah Samson, self-proclaimed communist tenant,
You've just been capitalism, supple demon,
is because first off, I've received a ton of really hateful things because his video did grab traction. Second off, I truly believe that his video is putting thousands of people in a worse situation. As a matter of fact, his entire channel isn't benefiting anyone. It isn't creating change. It's just putting a lot of people into a mindset that is going to be very destructive for them. Let me read this. On Christmas Eve, which is when he put out this video, I received 30 emails and they all said this. Yourself. This is not a joke. Yourself. There is no rationalization for what you do. Yourself. You're the ruiner of all things good. Yourself. This again is not a joke. Yourself, Chandler. You're filling the world with bile and garbage. Yourself, Chandler. So this is kind of what Noah spurs on. Now, as much as this gets me fired up, there's this and much more. The video he put out has now 2,700 comments and they're all just as bad, if not worse. And so before I go into this, and trust me, if you follow my channel, his video is it's gonna upset you. It's gonna make you pissed. It's gonna make you wanna go and probably try to respond with hateful things back to him. So right off the bat, I wanna say this, don't do that. One, it's not going to benefit you. It's not going to benefit him, and it's not going to benefit any of the people that follow him. As a matter of fact, it's just going to get you fired up. It's going to put you in a worse situation when you're in the right place if you're here to try and better yourself, to progress, and put yourself in a better financial situation. So please, even though you're going to be fired up from this video, don't go make personal attacks. Don't go make death threats. Don't go do any of this garbage because it's unacceptable and it shouldn't happen. And yeah, that is all I'm going to say with that. Again, the comments from him, I might mention a couple of them to argue them throughout the video because it kind of shows just a broken thought process that really has led to a lot of the struggles and problems and issues that we have in our current culture. And I'm really hoping that my video will help fix that. And if nothing else, I hope that it gets to the people that are maybe on the line saying, hey, should I let the government take care of me the rest of my life or hope that someone else does? Or should I say, hey, this is the system that we have. How can I benefit me and my family and put us both in a better situation? All right, now that we've covered all of that, we need to get into the video. And I'm just gonna kind of go through and pick apart each part of the video and share why this thought process is so broken. He starts off with this clip talking about how landlords and cops are bastards.
In a similar way that one might use the phrase, all cops are bastards, or a cob, the same could be done for landlords because all landlords are also bastards, or a lob. Allow me to elaborate on that point.
If you're someone that thinks all cops are bastards and you don't understand the need for some system to protect you, I don't think I even need to explain that. Now, are there bad cops? Yes, I've even done videos about that. But do I believe at people's core the majority of people are good? Yeah, I do. And I believe that our system, even though it does have some things that are broken and need to be fixed, that there are good people just trying to protect you. That's what cops are. Now, landlords are alternatively, the majority of landlords are just good people trying to provide for themselves and provide for their family. And if they're like me, they're trying to get everyone they know to do the same thing because it's huge. It's a great benefit to them in their lives, and it can be a great benefit to you in your life as well. And if you don't want to be a landlord, then at least follow their advice and learn the proper steps so that you can purchase a property. Throughout this video, he attacks landlords for, oh, they don't work. Yet he also says that people can't come up with a down payment to be able to afford a property of their own. So it's either one or the other. The reality is anyone can work hard enough and save hard enough to be able to afford a property. And here's the funny thing. A landlord has to come up with 25% down or more to purchase a property. Where you, if you're someone that's saying, oh, I don't want to pay my landlord anymore, well, guess what? Your same property, square footage wise, if you went and bought a house on your own, odds are your mortgage is going to be less. Now you are going to have to come up with a down payment, but you don't have to come up with 25% down. You can get into it for 3.5% down because of the programs the government's already put in place, which I agree with because it helps you get out of renting from me or other landlords. The reality is there are always going to be people that aren't willing to work, that aren't willing to save, that aren't willing to do what's required to be able to purchase a property. Those are the people that I'm really hoping I can help to purchase a property, but the reality is they're always going to be there. That's why I don't have a problem helping them get to the next level of owning a house, because I know there's always going to be a demand for rental properties, and that's a business that is always going to flourish for me, even though I'm trying to break it by helping people get out of it and owning their own home, because that will be more beneficial for them. Now, you also need to understand, I rented, and it sucks. It's not fun being a tenant, but there was a time in my life where it was required so that I could save money to get into my first house. I rented for years and years and years. If I remember right, I think I rented for like 5 or 6 years after having lived with my parents the first 20 some odd years of my life. And so I get that it's frustrating, but also financially, it makes the most sense when you're trying to save money so that you can afford getting into a home. You can see right here how he feels about someone coming up with a down payment.
None of us can afford a down payment on a house, obviously. I don't know why I would ever utter those two dirty little words, down payment, bleh. Nice try.
Now, this next clip cracks me up because he goes from, I'm communist, everything should be provided for us, to, we love businesses, buy my pitch so that I can make money off of capitalism.
Right after, I take a quick moment to talk about the sponsor of today's video, Atlas VPN. Companies are good, okay? They're the best.
Now we are to the fun part, or the interesting part, or the hurtful part.
One of the most popular videos on his TikTok account, with almost 3 million views, is a video of him kicking a family out of their home and exploiting this process to go epic style viral on TikTok. Awesome. Thanks, Chan Man, Jack Off Chan. He paints a picture of the arduous process that was having to evict these tenants from hell.
He concocts this story of me kicking a poor, kind family out of their home. Now, this family, we had given multiple months of not paying rent. And I'm gonna go into all of this earlier, but they're literally the worst tenant on earth. They destroyed the property.
Wow. He shows us the damage that these tenants have supposedly done to the property.
They lied multiple times. They didn't pay rent. They're extremely dishonest. They were on drugs. They'd cause multiple problems with their tenants above that would complain about the drugs, that would complain about the noise. The cops had been to their place I don't know how many times. I mean, they are the epitome of the worst case scenario tenants, and we should have never put them in there as a landlord. Like, that's a big mistake that I have owned. The other thing you need to remember is we went through the legal process. We sat before a judge with this guy. He shared his story. We shared our story. And according to the laws, we did everything right, minus the fact that we should have evicted him way sooner and not let him get away with all the things he did, because it actually made life for the tenant above him absolutely horrible. And that's one of the things that this guy, he acts like that didn't happen. This is a 2-unit apartment. The people upstairs were absolutely miserable. So I'm trying to be a good landlord for them up here by getting these people out, and they're making all of these accusations that you'll come to find were well after we're trying to get them out of their property because they're not paying and they're being horrible to the tenants above. Now, instead of going and actually watching the video and finding the reality and the truth behind this circumstance, he instead spent his time making fun of me.
Our boss baby boy, Chan Man, Jack Off Chan. He's seriously this fucking goober landlord.
So I want to put pause for a minute. I want to just run his clip and then I'm going to talk about it, because everything he says is dishonest or manipulated or just wrong. So let's run the clip.
The first video of the interview, the text on screen reads, "They broke several windows and complained about the slow maintenance." But if you actually listen to the woman who's speaking here, she describes how a window in the house was broken when they moved in, and despite requesting repairs and waiting for over a year for someone to show up, the window was never properly fixed.
So the window was broken from day one?
Yeah, the living room window over here. You know, after a while, he's like, oh, it should be here in like 9 weeks. But after a while, he's like, oh, it should be here next month. It's on order, blah, blah, blah. And then he just kept giving us excuses. And just like a couple months ago, he had somebody come in and put a temporary window in, and then he said he's gonna have to order the window, so it's gonna be here in about 9 to 12 weeks. And I said, really? That was supposed to be ordered like a year ago. You know what I mean?
Right away, he backs them on the broken window. Now, I've covered this in other videos, but the reality is the window was broken. It had a crack through the window. Could water get in? No. Could it have been an issue? No. I am telling you, they're being blatantly dishonest. If you look at my other videos, every one of the windows was broken out. And they've got all of this garbage back here. All of the windows have been broken by them. They were on drugs. They had major issues. So all the windows are broken by the time these tenants are out of the property. On top of that, she says,
really? That was supposed to be ordered like a year ago.
These tenants had only lived in the property for a couple months before they stopped paying rent. Like, literally hardly at all. From the time that they moved in to when we evicted them wasn't even a year. It was substantially less than that, even though we struggled to evict them for months and months and months, trying to work with them. On top of that, these windows, they're this big. This is an older property that's been renovated, that now if you built a new property, these windows wouldn't be allowed, but it's grandfathered in. So when you order these windows, it takes a long time to get there. So blocking it off, letting it be how it is, and the fact that they knew it had the crack in it before they moved in also tells you they were okay with it until we could get it actually fixed. And the water damage wasn't a thing, which I'm going to talk about in just a minute, but we're going to keep playing the clip.
And this ended up causing $1,300 in property damage when a hailstorm hit.
Especially if it was problems and issues in the beginning that was not solved. We never said anything about the hailstorm, about the window that wasn't there, that damaged over $1,300 of our.
Yeah.
Why? Because the window wasn't fixed.
So they were protesting the fact that, from their perspective, there had been no effort on Chandler's end to fix any of the broken stuff, which is his responsibility to do, or his property manager's, whatever. The problem with all of this is that it is very difficult to focus on what the tenants are saying, because as they say it, the text on the screen directly contradicts them. There's no real way to verify who's telling the truth in this situation. The tenants say one thing, Chandler writes another on the screen.
There actually is, because it's all documented. All of their requests are documented. All of that has to be documented. I own 150 units of rental real estate. I don't want to get sued for doing something wrong.
About how the kitchen plumbing was broken and they didn't have running water on Thanksgiving, and she had to run back and forth between the kitchen and the bathtub to do the dishes.
I want you guys to take a look at the way these people were living when they moved out of the property. I'm going to run the clip right here.
There's our first hole. Here's just stuff, more stuff, and more stuff, and stuff. Couch, chair, and the kitchen, canned food, and just destroyed the sink, the cupboards, broke all the cupboards out. Luckily in this video you can't smell it, but I can smell it.
Do you believe that that was our fault or their fault because they were on drugs, they were nasty, they destroyed everything? I'm probably going to lean towards that, but we did fix the sink. We just didn't show up on Thanksgiving. My mom, she just had her drain clogged for Thanksgiving. And guess what? No plumber could show up. Even with my connections, no plumber's going to show up on Thanksgiving Day to fix something. That's just life. Like, whether you own the place, whether you rent the place, we all would have been in that situation, so that's laughable, and that did end up getting fixed.
They mentioned how they were charged late fees on rent despite having paid it on time.
We had been here for almost a year. I was like, dude, we've been late one time. This is our first time ever. You know what I mean? Because she was all talking about some crazy crap on the email. And I'm like, dude, like, Jace said that fee was waived. I don't understand why I owe $50 for last month, you know?
Do you really think any management company is going to charge a late fee if you weren't late? Not to mention the fact that she talks about how we had waived other fees in the past for being late.
So you guys right now, I think you haven't paid, ends up being about 3 or 4 months worth.
Yeah, it's almost, it's probably over it's over $2,000, I know that.
This was during the holiday season, and we really did try to work with them. That was why a good 3 or 4 months went by before we ever actually got them evicted, of them not paying, them destroying the property, them totally causing tons of problems with the upstairs tenants, to the point where we actually lost those tenants before we got them evicted. Now, the next complaint to me is, it is kind of hilarious. And he makes fun of us in the video for making fun of this tenant because he can't do the math right on how much damage there was to his property. I'm going to show you that clip right here.
And it's all amplified by the way that Chandler crafts this content to mock them. At one point, when the guy is talking about the storm damage, Chandler puts the numbers that he's saying on the screen, but misrepresents what he says as a way to, like, insult his intelligence. It's super dope.
If I wasn't struggling with the sweat closet that mildewed out damn near $800 worth of clothes. Now this is $1,300 plus 8.
So let me ask you this.
No. You want to get perspective. So the perspective is we've told your landlord that our broke, and we out damn near close to $3,000 worth.
The reason we make fun of the tenant, and looking back, maybe I shouldn't have. My editors, they do all of my TikTok. I'm still gonna own that though. I should watch and follow up, but it's just to show that this tenant is on drugs. This tenant is dishonest. This tenant is trying to do anything that they can to keep in our property, which this guy keeps saying their home.
Their home. Thanks, Chan man.
No, I own this property. I rent to them. I've given them a discount on being late. I've given them months and months and months to find a new place to move out because we're wanting to evict them because they won't. They refuse to pay rent. And then after all of this, where he can see blatant dishonesty, he can see they're lying, he can see they're manipulating the situation, he backs them on the $3,000 of damaged clothing when the guy can't even do the math right and then accuses us of $3,000 of damage due to mildew. I'm no genius, but if you do get water in through a window, let's say it was broken, let's say we have to own responsibility for that, don't you as a person just cover the window, for one? And I'm saying this because what he said, it's very obvious that it's dishonest. For two, if rain comes in and gets on your clothes, $3,000 worth of clothes. I don't even know that I own $3,000 worth of clothes. Like, that's a good chunk of clothes. You're gonna tell me you're gonna leave them on the floor until they are so bad that they're not salvageable by washing them? Now, you guys saw the eviction video when we went down there. It does make sense that they just leave their garbage and trash everywhere. But how long did those clothes have to sit there? I know it's not a day, 2 day, 3 day, 4 day, 5 days, because I've left wet towels after going in my hot tub down. Hopefully you don't judge me for that. It had to have been weeks that these clothes were sitting there to the point where they weren't able to be salvaged. And yet this guy, after all of this, is just willing to jump on board with these tenants that he can see are being completely dishonest. All right, now watch this, and this, guys, it just gets worse.
In his follow-up video, he lies about them stealing electricity. There's a section of the interview where the lady explains how the upstairs neighbors had made a deal with them to pay a fee to use an outlet of their electricity while theirs was shut down, so they could keep their fridge and lights on.
But the neighbor upstairs, I said, look, I'll pay half your bill if you let me plug in my fridge and my lights and, you know,
And that's what we've been rolling
for my
with.
kids.
And he just conveniently leaves this out.
They had Jimmy rigged that light to steal electricity from upstairs. So there was some weird setup where they'd yanked it out and ran a cord to try and make it so they'd get their light to work because they hadn't been paying electricity and had been stealing it from upstairs.
Which, sure, that works great if you're trying to make these people out to be criminals, but it's also just lying. He heard them say that they had permission. That exchange is literally in the videos he posted.
So you've been paying them, it hasn't been stealing?
Yeah, no, they agreed to it. And I was like, I'll pay half your bill. He goes, no, don't worry about it. And we still throw money because that's how we are. I'm not gonna, you know what I mean?
So it's almost like he knows that the people watching won't really care whether it's true or not. Funny how that works.
I'm baffled. He literally has the gall to show the clip of the hanging light that they've Jimmy rigged.
They broke that light, so they're trying to jimmy it so they could get power to it somehow.
That they've destroyed because they're not paying their electric bill because their money is going to drugs instead of their electricity so that they can have a warm home for their family. And yet he's going to back them up and say that I am being dishonest when I am the one getting the dozens and dozens of complaints from the tenant upstairs. This guy, instead of backing the tenant upstairs that told us they were stealing electricity, that then we lost the tenant because they felt like we weren't handling the downstairs tenant properly by getting them out because they're stealing their electricity, they're fighting all the time, there's drugs, there's trash all over the outside of the property, and we can't control them because we're trying to evict them. And yet this guy has the gall to one, call me a liar instead of those tenants when we're not getting our information from them. We're getting our information from the good tenants upstairs that are telling us that they're stealing electricity, that they're fighting, that they're doing all of this stuff. He's going to side with them. I can understand that someone might, pick the wrong team. They might accidentally get the wrong information. This guy spent hours and hours and hours and hours going through all of my content. He knows the truth, and yet he's manipulating it for this video to try and be the victim, to try and help these people be the victim, to try and take advantage of the situation and take a shot at the landlord when he doesn't even realize what he's doing is he's backing a trash tenant, which then ends up a good tenant getting trashed. The tenant that is paying their bills, that does want to be taken care of, has to deal with an absolute garbage tenant because he's not backing up a system that is there to not just protect me, but to protect the good tenant. So this fits in perfectly for his next clip.
Oh, it is true that they agreed to do this interview. And yes, they were technically behind on rent. And yeah, they did leave the property a mess. But does any of this make what he's doing here any less? No.
The answer to the question is yes. And this is the problem. We have people like him backing up the wrong team because the reality is the people that are hurt by this, way more than me, were the upstairs tenants. They're the ones that have to deal with the trash. They're the ones that have to deal with the noise. They're the ones that have to deal with the higher electric bill. They're the ones that have to deal with all of this to the point where they came to us and said, Chandler, will you please let us out of our lease early? We can't do this anymore. We can't live here anymore. And I said gladly, yes, I'm sorry, we're doing everything we can to evict them, but go. They were gone. So does it make what I'm doing less 100%? It makes me the hero in this situation if you truly care about your tenants. You can choose to be someone that believes that any problem that happens to you is outside of your control and that the government should fix it for you. Or you can choose to say, hey, You know, we know the government isn't perfect. We know we as individuals aren't perfect. Landlords aren't perfect. Cops aren't perfect. But overall, our system is pretty darn good. And I'm going to choose to take responsibility for the good things and the bad things that happen to me. And I'm just going to educate myself so that I can put me and my family in a better situation. And so you get to choose which one of these you're going to be on. Here are his thoughts. On top of that, if you don't like working with a landlord and renting, go buy your own property.
Okay, I take it back.
You can literally do that. The reason people don't is because a landlord buys it and doesn't require you to come up with a huge down payment to be able to live in their place. How do people think it's supposed to work?
Wait. Okay, so you can't buy the property because the landlord already did, because they could afford the quote-unquote huge down payment and you could not, and this is why we should be thankful to landlords. Am I hallucinating right now? Hey, here's a fun statistic. Did you know that 54% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck? That over half of us don't have enough money in our savings to last 3 months? But yeah, just go buy a property. Go buy it. Take out a loan, you know, a loan that you can't pay back, because I don't know if I mentioned this before, but you are living paycheck to paycheck. Oh wait, you can't pay down payments with a loan? What am I saying? Never mind. Hey, rent is due, by the way. Oh, and I just raised it because I can. Oh, also, I took your security deposit and used it to buy a vinyl cover for my jet ski because there was a Go-Gurt wrapper sticking out of your recycling bin. Also, this is all your fault.
He goes through all of the reasons that people can't afford to get a down payment. And instead of saying, hey, you know, maybe these people should take responsibility. Maybe there's some other things they can do to make money on the side. Maybe there are other options so that they personally can fix it. It turns to, let's blame Chandler the landlord. Now here's the deal. If you want to fall into that, if you believe it's a broken system and on and on and on, he'll go on to talk about how there are other systems that are completely different. Yet for some reason, people like this, who I know, because I know how ad revenue works and I know how many views his videos get, has more than enough money to move somewhere else. He doesn't, because obviously the pros of where we're at are better than somewhere else. On top of that, he's taking advantage of capitalism. He's got the money to do it, and he knows that other people could do the same thing. Now, don't get me wrong, the stats are bad, and in my personal opinion, here's one of the problems. We just doubled the money that is in play, which means unless everyone's income doubles, by the government trying to help and spending more, that is making everything more expensive. That's making your taxes go up, that's making insurance go up, that's making home values go up. So this guy that's arguing, oh, everything should be covered, where does he think the money is coming from? How does he think it's gonna work? So it's just so frustrating, because you can choose to be the victim or not, but that's up to you. People think it's supposed to work. Like, do they expect food and shelter and their vehicle and literally anything else that they're going to use in life to just be provided to them?
Yes, you just described the ideal society. It's not like we don't have the resources or the infrastructure or the technological proficiency to provide those things. Oops, sorry, my communism keeps flaring up. I'll go put on my lotion. Be right back. Oh. Okay. God, this communism cream is so creamy.
Food and shelter and their vehicle and literally anything else that they're going to use in life to just be provided to them. So he says we have the infrastructure, we have everything. Guys, I'm gonna eat this alive, because the guy just isn't educated. Now, he's very good at sounding educated. He's very good at putting together a video that grabs on your emotions and your heartstrings, especially if you're someone that right now is struggling to pay rent. And I get it, but he's wrong, and we're gonna talk about it. If so, what's the point of life? Like, you just sit around and just have these things that someone else provides for you? What do you do?
I know you didn't just use the phrase sitting around in a derogatory manner. As a landlord, sitting around is what you do for a living?
Now, he says landlording is what I do for a living. How does he think I came up with the money to be able to be a landlord?
Live. You get to live. Imagine no more stress about the potential of being uprooted from your life each month. You can save money, live better, Papa John's, go read some books, get out into nature, make some art, find hobbies and fulfillment outside of the prison that is the Starbucks or Amazon packing facility or gig economy app of choice that, statistically speaking, you probably work for. When he proposes that everything is handed to you, and this is something you hear a lot, right? Why would you want all this free stuff? Welfare, man bun, avocado, whatever the fuck. This is always proposed by these people as being a bad thing. And the only reason all of that would be bad is if we were operating under the assumption that people, given resources for basic necessities and left to their own devices, will inevitably become a drain on society, which is just not the case.
This argument, it's crazy to me how someone can have it, because it doesn't make sense, right? If I have the choice between the government giving me money and me getting to go and surf every day, live in Hawaii, do whatever I want day after day, I think everybody would pick that choice. Am I right? Everybody would take a free home. Everybody would take the opportunity to get out in nature, to go do what they want. But who's going to build the homes? Who's going to provide Uber? Who's going to provide Amazon? Who's going to make the products? Who's going to deliver the products? Who's going to do everything that gives you all of these things that you believe should be provided for free, if everyone's getting them for free? Now, I know it sounds really nice to say, well, you know, Chandler, he was a really hard worker. He found a way to come up with this money for the down payment for these properties. So let's just let him work. But all of us others that would want to live and get out in nature and enjoy things and on and on and on and on, we would like to just live in a society where all of that's provided for us. All right, we're gonna roll this next clip.
There's a follow-up video here responding to another comment. The comment reads, "Ah yes, because if a landlord didn't buy the place, it would not exist for someone to live in." Watch how he responds to this.
Yeah.
In this guy's brain, the concept of housing can only exist through the medium of a landlord. For him, landlords may as well be a standard feature of human evolution. The first cave folks, they had landlords, did you not know that? Those little fishy guys, they had little fishy landlords. And of course, who can forget the classic biblical quote, "And on the third day, God said, let there be landlords." He's saying, once again, that you should be thankful that landlords exist. Because if they didn't, houses wouldn't. How do you think they'd get built? It's not the builders or the architects or the engineers or the people that actually do the work. No, it's the fucking landlords. It's Chan sitting in his Gary V den being a freak.
All right, so if you look past more insults towards Chan and his Gary V den, you see that he admits that someone has to build all of this. Well, let's think about this. If no one's working, who is going to get someone to build it? Like, why would you build it if you don't have to build it? Well, then how would it exist? Now, I love how he goes back to evolution of like the caveman. Look, you can be a caveman if you want, right? Like, we evolved because someone built the house and then they expected something in return for the labor that they did. Otherwise, they just build the house for themselves. Now, if you want housing provided, maybe you should go out in the wilderness and see how you can do that. But you don't have that expertise. How do you think this house appears? Here's how it appears. Someone builds it, someone pays them from something else that they've brought value to their community so that they can now have it. Because if you're not bringing any value, why should you get the benefit of someone else's value that they've brought? Well, someone builds it, then someone else buys it, then someone else rents it. They have built value somewhere else, and now they're providing value, which is the home that was built by someone else for you to rent as an individual or as a tenant. Now, this next comment, I think, epitomizes his whole argument. So if you believe this comment, you're going to be on board with his argument. It says, "I love how people think that housing isn't a right, despite the fact that we're the only species on Earth that pays money in exchange for housing." What other species on Earth has created housing? I mean, I've seen like badgers dig holes down in the ground, which they would consider homelessness. I've seen chimps put a couple leaves over them for the rain while they're living in trees. But I don't think there's any other species that has actually developed or brought the value of a home. It's like, I don't understand how someone's brain can work in this way, where they don't recognize that we live in an awesome place in the United States, where as long as you bring value, you can get the benefit of the other value that people bring. But when you switch to the point where you think you shouldn't have to bring any value, and yet you should get the benefits of everyone else's value, how could a society like that work? Now, I know they're used to their parents paying their bills. I know they're used to the government paying their bills. I know they're used to all of these other people who are motivated, who are driven, who are trying to progress every single day because they know doing things to bring value to other people is what actually brings value to you. That's what makes you happy. That's what makes you feel good. That's what life is about, is going out and finding how you can bring value to other people. And that's the other thing that's hilarious to me about his argument, is he's going to go and say what a scumbag person I am when I don't advertise how I give back to my community. I don't advertise the amount of money I do, and I never will. But I can promise you, if he came to me and said, Chandler, I'll bet any amount of money that I give more back to my society, more back to my community than you did, I would say that's total bullshit. And I would bet any amount of money that it's not true, because guess what? The only value that this guy brings to the world is helping other people to not bring value to the world and feel justified in it. And you can tell by all of the comments, by the go kill yourself email I got on Christmas Eve at 11 p.m. that all of these people are sad, they're miserable, they're unhappy, and yet they think that blaming it on someone else, that someone else is the problem and blaming it on them is going to be solution, when the reality is they need to say, you know what? Maybe I need to step back and find a way to bring more value to my community. Maybe I need to go out and get a job, and if it's not paying me well enough, I need to get a better job, or I need to get a side hustle, or I need to find a way to bring some form of more value so that I can have more value in return. Because if you don't believe in that, then how does society ever work? If everyone fell into this mindset, it wouldn't work, because someone has to do something that brings value for there to be value. Now that I've vented, this is the last clip I'm going to run.
We should never stop talking about people like this. Not until people like this are no longer necessary. Until then, though, we're gonna name and shame. At least I am. I don't give a shit. I don't have trouble sleeping at night. I take a melatonin, baby.
So I am very glad that he doesn't lose sleep at night, that his entire YouTube channel is built around putting people in a place where they're never going to progress, where they're never going to have a better life, where they're never going to be in a better circumstance. Later on in the video, he shows clips and talks about how there are all these other incredible places in the world where you can get free housing and you can get free food and you can get all of these other benefits. If you truly believe that you're going to be happier and that those things being provided for you by the government and that the way that they are set up is better, then I don't understand, especially why people like him don't move out of the United States. Again, I know how ad revenue works. This guy is banking, cashing in on capitalism when it comes to the fact that he's getting paid in ad revenue every month and has more than enough to move to one of these places. Wouldn't be a problem for him. Yet he chooses to stay here, and my guess is because he knows the things that are here in our community, in our society, are better overall. Now, we've got pros, we've got cons, but if it's really so bad, I'd love to see this guy do something about it. At least for one thing in your life, take action. If you truly believe their structure is better, go there. And then return and report, come back to us and say, hey, guys, I've experienced it. The pros outweigh the cons. All of you other people that love hanging out in your parents' basement, playing video games, complaining about how terrible landlords are, come over with me. It's awesome. But here's the problem. If that does happen, and if it is true, if it is better, you're going to reach a point where that society crumbles. Because if you have a ton of people not bringing value, expecting value in return, it doesn't work. I don't care how you try to argue it, how you try to say that we've got people that could make it work. It doesn't work. And guys, that is my video. Now, there's one last thing that I want to add to this video. I do not want a single person that watches this video to go and say anything crude or rude or cruel or mean or threatening or anything to him or to anyone in his comments. Because the reality is they're hurting, right? They're flawed in the way of thinking, and I hope that you try to find people that are thinking like this and you try to help them. The one other thing that I want to say is that eviction video from 2 years ago, I do in my heart of hearts still feel justified in sharing it because I got burned. I got taken advantage of. I lost a lot of money in that situation. Even now, and granted, I've probably made a good chunk of money in ad revenue off of those videos. So I'm probably at break even financially, and it was a learning experience. But that was horrible for me. That was hard. That was not fun. But I will say the way that I handled it, and I've said this in other videos, I'll never do it again. You won't see another eviction video where I show up and interview someone, because there was something that felt wrong about that even after all of the terrible things that they did to me. And there were things within that video that I did wrong. I'm human, I made mistakes, and I was scared. You can see I was shaking in the video because it got pretty gnarly. And so I want you to know, I'm not going to say that I wasn't wrong in going into that circumstance and doing what I did, and I'm not going to do it in the future. However, was it a learning experience, and am I going to continue to share those videos and talk about them if I'm approached on them? Yeah, because I hope other people learn from the experience. They learn how to evict better so that their other tenants get taken care of better, because that sucked for both tenants in those units, and it was a major learning experience. Now, if you guys enjoyed the video, remember to smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the little bell. And again, above all else, please remember to be kind. Don't go attack this guy. You can go comment on his videos and try and share or help or do whatever you think might help change a thought process, but don't be rude or cruel or anything else. Don't send death threats. Like, that's what's wrong with people like this. It's just messed up. And if you read the comments and the things that people have said about me after him manipulating the video, it's messed up, and I don't want that to happen here. So thanks so much, guys. Until next time.